It is indeed a situation in the country where not just Nigerians are watching what's happening here, but of course the international community, bear in mind where whatever it is that is taking place here in the country is being watched by other organizations and countries. Nevertheless, the issue, as you rightly mentioned, is the change in the sequence of the election. And now the National Assembly, of course, are there to monitor, advise, and guide on not just electoral issues, but everything to do with the country. And nevertheless, as well, there is an obsolete belief that it is the responsibility of INEC to put together not just the sequence, but the whole timetable of election in the country, which is something they have been doing and which is something they have been constituted to do. Now, of course, the question is, do the National Assembly has any authority or any overriding power over what INEC should do or should conduct? I think it is rightly should be independent. INEC is supposed to be an independent organization and commission, and they should be allowed to put together the sequence of the election in the country, bearing in mind the agitation of other people believing that maybe the National Assembly has an interior motive for them to suggest otherwise.
Very good, Alistair. Now, do you think Nigerians are getting a better deal on account of the changing of the sequence of the elections?
Realistic, from the general public opinion, really Nigerians do not really bother on what sequence the election takes place come 2019. Now, what Nigerians are concerned about is the rule of law. Is it the duty and the responsibility of the National Assembly to call for an alternative days for the election, or is it the responsibility of INEC to conduct the election and put the timetable together? The general opinion is it is the responsibility of INEC, and that's why now there's another agitation that the judiciary are there to see who is right and who is responsible to put together the timetable for the 2019 election. But again, it's something that everybody has to be very, very careful about, that independent electoral commission, which is INEC, should be allowed to conduct the election in their own way, as has been constituted authoritatively under their own commission.
All right, very good. Now, critics say the move by the National Assembly is self-serving. Do you align with that?
Well, the fact of the matter is it's not just other people believing that the National Assembly is there serving themselves, but the general opinion as well probably agree in that context, because a lot of people feel that the National Assembly really is not there representing the electorate who have elected them to be there. But apart from that, they have been doing things that people feel is not right in our own democracy in this country. And again, a lot of people feel that most of the people who are holding relevant position in the National Assembly were not really following internal democracy of their own political parties. And that's why there's quite a lot of crisis within the major political parties in the country.
All right, now let's take a look at the rising trend of herdsmen attack in Nigeria. How can you rate the efforts made so far in trying to curb this menace?
Well, I think that is a really icy issue in the country. The truth of the matter is people do not used to read about the herdsmen killing in different society, in different community across the country. But now it has become a prominent issue, not just in Nigeria, but within the international community, watching and monitoring that there has been a lot of killings, tagged as herdsmen killing within our communities across many states, especially in the northern part of the country and in the middle belt. Now, of course, that is a serious concern, especially to do with issue of security. Some people feel that the herdsmen are not necessarily Nigerians, which shows that our borders are porous, that we don't have any internal security, and which is really, really a challenging issue for the country. And again, another opinion is, why should we allow foreigners who are not Nigerians come into our country and kill our people? It shouldn't be done. The law and the security of our people should be paramount, in not just within the Nigerian police, but across all board of people who are responsible to protect life and properties in the country. Now, if the herdsmen are not Nigerians, as we say, they should not be in Nigerians. And if they are Nigerian, then we have to ask what is happening with the rule of law that Nigeria has as a nation. Now, if indeed they were killing and they are found guilty, the law of the land should take prominent position immediately without any repercussion to any side of are they herdsmen, are they Fulani, or are they shepherd, whatever it is they are. So long they are killing people unnecessarily, they should be brought to order. They should be brought to justice. There's no two-way about it. It's not just about herdsmen killing anybody. Any Nigerian who kills somebody should be brought to order, and they should face the full wrath of the law. That is what it is, and that's what I know is being practiced around the world. And this is what our own people, our own government should do to protect properties of our own people. So there's no two-way about it. The simple truth is, if it is headsmen, or they are terrorists, or they're people pretending to be headsmen, they need to be brought to justice. They need to face the law of the land, and they need to be found. Because so far, a lot of things people are reading, but nobody has actually come across anybody being arrested. And so that, again, brings a big question to the minds of every Nigerian, every electorate. They say, what are we doing? What do we need to do to make sure our lives are being protected, not just by our community, but by the people we elected to protect our lives and properties?
Now, briefly, you're based in the UK. What is the perception people have, not only Nigerians in the UK, have about this herdsman crisis on the country?
To be honest, as you rightly said, not just Nigerian, but everybody that really have any passion for Nigeria is absolutely concerned about the situation in the country. Because it shows that if you can allow your own citizen to be killed anyhow, then the foreigners, the investors, will feel a bit reserved to come into the country. But then again, the biggest investors actually in the country are not the foreign companies, are not the foreign people. They are Nigerians, the Nigerians who live outside the country, the diasporan Nigerians. They spend and remit money into the country on a yearly basis of more than $20 billion. That is a big investment that they direct into our own country. And of course, there's a possibility. They want to do more. We want to do more. And that's why, rightly so, as well now, people are getting involved in the politics of the country. They want to contribute not just by sending money to their families, not by sending money for other things that need or that is needed towards national development or community engagement, but they want to participate politically in order for them to participate in creating a dynamics of good leaders within the country that really feel passionate about the nation. And it's not just one-way traffic where you blame one leader. You have to look at the whole corporate structure of the leadership, the people involved in the leadership. You always have a captain or you have a coach, and then you have the 11 players. The 11 players, everyone has a role to play within that team. And it's the same way in the leadership of the country. So we need to look at the whole thing to say, well, we really want the issue of the issue of security being tamed. We need investment to come into the country, and we need the government to rise up to the call of duty to protect lives and properties of every citizen that is a Nigerian, and more so people who live in the country, who have been coming in contributing to our socio-economic development as the largest economy on the African continent.
Very good. Now, you're involved in the Yes movement and the 2019 elections, I believe. Now, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, thanks. The Yes movement has been going since last year, before the emergence and the awareness that has been created around all the movement. Our own ideology and philosophy basically is to galvanize youth through a series of educational engagement, whereby we've been telling them about their political, democratic right as citizens, as electorate. Now, it is very important. It's not just by obtaining your PVC that you become a voter. It's actually obtaining your PVC and then, of course, going out to vote. Because if you take into consideration that in the 2015 election, there's almost about 60 million people that actually registered, but only about 30 million people voted, which means in the whole picture of it, just about 43% of those who registered actually vote. Now, as of today, according to INEC, there's more than 75 million people that have registered. If that's true and so, and you only have about 60% to 70% of people actually that will be voting in 2019, that means you end up having like 60 million people who will vote in the coming election. And of course, we have to take into consideration as well that people are registering for their PVC. Not all of them were registering to keep somebody in power. Others are registering in order for them to change the structure in the democratic principle in the country. So that's our number one aim, by educating and telling them about their political democratic right as citizens, as electorate. Because whatever an elected officer is doing in your community, that is the reason why actually you elected him. You don't need to thank him for doing it, but nevertheless you can thank him because he is accountable to you as a citizens, as an electorate. But don't be excited about that. He put a borehole, he construct road for you, but at the end of the day, that money was allocated to him to do that. So no politician will ever put his hand in his pocket to give you an ordinary bottled water. He must have collected the money, and he's just giving you more or less the cheapest bottled water that he can ever find. So let's be realistic, let's appreciate those who are doing something, but at the same time, the power really belongs to the electorate, and so that's our first aim. And then, of course, the second aim of the Yes movement is speaking to political parties, that as Nigerians now are yearning for credible change in direction of leadership, some of Nigerians are talking about, let's do away with all politicians. But really and truly, you can't do away with the whole system that has been there. But you can mix the two together. And that's why we're now talking to political parties, that if Nigerians are yearning for new breed of politicians, new managers, new leaders, there must be potential in your own political party that can emerge through a credible way of electing them so that the electorate can decide and elect these people. As well, we have to believe that political parties can still present any of their old candidate as their candidate in any election. Now, if all the political parties present the same type of candidate, the ordinary electorate has no choice than to pick one, because your name has to be on the ballot paper before you can stand for any election. But nevertheless now as well, we now have the yearning of Nigerians saying they want generational change, and this bringing into the ideology that we have two baskets. Let's consider two baskets. One basket for the old politicians, the professional politicians, and now you have another basket for the new emerging political leaders. Now, out of the two political basket, you need to decide. Now, if Nigerians are yearning that they need a change, the truth of the matter is, how sincere are Nigerians that they need a change? Because if there are new and emerging political leaders who have potential and who can lead, you have to look at where are they coming from? What type of business do they run? Or what kind of DG, MG are they at their own work, be it in private or public sector? You need to take into account how successful have they been delivering to the needs of the people or delivering to the need of their own organization. With that, at least, then you know you have been presented with credible candidate that can lead you in whatever field you decide to go in. So, as I said, the number two aim of the Yes movement is to encourage political parties to give that opportunity to emerging leaders within their own party. And of course, the third one is that as we continue to work, you have to be realistic that the NGOs, the CSOs, civil society organizations in the country, as of today, many of them has been marginalized. They don't deliver the services that they used to for one reason or another. And you must find a platform to be in. So all the electorate, the 70 million of you out there, the 75 million of us who have registered to vote, must make sure that we actually participate in any political party, in any party we may so desire. It is our own responsibility. It is our own right. We are Nigerian citizens. We want to change, or if we don't want to change, then we want to encourage those who are leaders to begin to do the right thing. But for them really as well to do the right thing, the rule of the country must be followed. The law and order must be followed. Because when you look at it, for example, you have members in the National Assembly, you have people who have elected positions, people appointed in different positions, and most of them just engage the Nigerian police. Some of them have more than 4 policemen attached to them. And out of the consideration, they're talking about 150 policemen attached to VIPs. So the Yes movement basically just want to encourage Nigerian electorate to do the right thing, have their democratic right, and then help Nigeria to emerge as a good country for better future for all of us.